The meeting room on Nexus Prime was silent. Dead silent. The kind of silence that came when something terrible had happened. But nobody knew what to do about it. Ambassador Krell of the Vryn stood at the center of the circular chamber. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he looked at the faces around him. There were 50 species represented here, 50 different alien races, each one powerful in their own way. But today they all looked scared. 6 months ago, the humans had disappeared, not died. Not evacuated, just gone. Every single one of them. 2 trillion human beings had vanished from 2,000 star systems in a single day. They left their cities running. Their ships floating in space. Their gardens still growing. But not a single human remained. Krell touched the control panel. A hologram appeared above the table. It showed a human city on the planet New Earth. The buildings stood tall and clean. Flying vehicles moved through the air on automatic paths. Streetlights turned on and off with the day and night cycle. Everything worked perfectly. But the streets were empty. A Pelthian delegate spoke up. Her voice was thin and nervous. The humans had always frightened her people. Maybe they all died from some disease? No bodies, Krell replied. We searched everywhere. Every colony. Every station. Every ship, nothing. They even took their dead from the graveyards. A heavy silence filled the room again. The humans had been part of galactic society for 300 years. 300 years that had changed everything. When they first appeared, most species thought they would be easy to handle. Humans came from a small blue planet with nothing special about it. They had no natural weapons. No thick skin, no poison. They were soft and weak, but the galaxy learned quickly. Humans were not weak. Not at all. They learned faster than any species in recorded history, technology that took other races thousands of years to develop. Humans mastered in decades. They could adapt to any environment, any situation. They ate foods that poisoned other species. They survived temperatures that would kill most aliens. And when they needed to fight, they fought with a creativity and determination that terrified everyone. Krell remembered the border wars. He had been young then. The Zarkonian Empire had attacked a human colony, thinking it would be an easy victory. The war lasted 6 weeks. The Zarkonians surrendered after humans turned their own weapons against them, hacked their computer systems, and convinced half their fleet to defect. The humans had won without destroying a single enemy ship. After that, nobody attacked humans anymore, but nobody fully trusted them either. They were too unpredictable, too creative, too dangerous, and now they were gone. Krell switched the hologram. Now it showed a message, the same message that had been broadcast on every human frequency simultaneously. Exactly 6 months ago. The room watched as the words appeared in the air. Translated into 50 languages at once, we're leaving. Don't follow. Don't touch our things. We'll be watching, that was it. No explanation. No goodbye. Just those 3 sentences. And then every human had vanished. A Korthian general stood up. His red skin flushed darker with excitement. This is our chance. The humans are gone. We should take their territory. Their technology. They have weapons and ships that could make us the strongest power in the galaxy. Some delegates nodded. Others looked uncomfortable. The Pelthian delegate shook her head. Did you not hear the message? They said they're watching. They said not to touch their things. They're gone, the Korthian general shouted. How can they watch if they're not here? In the back of the room, a young Scythian scientist named Kresh had been quiet the whole time. She was thin and green, with large eyes that saw more than most. She had spent her life studying human technology. Now she raised her hand. Ambassador Krell, may I speak? Krell nodded. He knew Kresh. She was smart. Very smart. I've been investigating the human facilities, Kresh said. I found something strange. All of their artificial intelligences are still active. Not running programs. Just waiting. Like they're on standby mode. So? The Korthian general said. AI programs wait all the time. Not like this, Kresh replied. These AIs are watching everything. Every single human facility has sensors that are still recording, still monitoring. The AIs are processing all of that data. They're watching us right now. The room went silent again. This time it was a different kind of silence. A nervous one. Krell felt a chill run down his spine. The humans were gone, but they had left their machines behind. Watching. Waiting. But for what? What do you think they're waiting for? He asked Kresh. The young scientist looked at him with her large eyes. I think they're testing us. The humans always tested things, always ran experiments. I think they want to see what we'll do now that they're gone. Will we respect their warning, or will we take what they left behind? The Korthian general laughed. It was not a happy sound. A test? You think the humans left behind all their technology, all their worlds, all their power just to test us? That's crazy, is it? Kresh asked quietly. The humans were the most advanced species in the galaxy. They could have conquered everyone if they wanted to. But they never did. They traded with us, helped us, protected weaker species. Even when we were afraid of them, they tried to be our friends. Friends who vanished without saying goodbye, someone muttered. They said goodbye, Kresh corrected. They just didn't explain why they were leaving. But they warned us. Don't follow. Don't touch our things. We'll be watching. Krell looked around the room. He saw fear on some faces, greed on others, confusion on most. The humans had been a constant presence in galactic life for 3 centuries. Now they were gone and nobody knew what to do. We need to decide, he said. Do we respect the human warning and leave their territory alone? Or do we take what they left behind? The vote was close. Very close. In the end, the council decided to mark human space as restricted. No official expeditions, no claiming of territory, but they couldn't stop individual species from exploring, and they knew many would try. As the meeting ended and the delegates filed out, Kresh stayed behind. She looked at the hologram of the empty human city, the lights still shining, the vehicles still moving, all waiting for people who would never return. Krell noticed her standing there. What are you thinking? He asked. I'm thinking the humans knew exactly what would happen, Kresh said softly. They knew we would be tempted. They knew some of us would try to take their things. And I think they left those AI systems watching for a reason. What reason? Kresh turned to look at him. I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. The humans were too smart to just disappear without a plan. They left their machines watching us. That means they care about what happens next. And that means there's something we're supposed to learn. Krell felt that chill again. The galaxy was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen now that humanity was gone. But somewhere, somehow, the humans were watching too, and that scared him more than anything else. 3 months passed. The Galactic Council tried to keep human space restricted, but it was like trying to hold back water with a net. Ships slipped through. Small expeditions, private companies, curious scientists. Everyone wanted to see what the humans had left behind. The Krell hegemony was the first to make a big move. They were a military power, always looking for better weapons. And everyone knew humans made the best weapons in the galaxy. General Voss led the expedition himself. He took 3 warships and his best soldiers to a human research station orbiting a dead moon. The station was called Research Facility 7. Intelligence reports said it was where humans tested their most advanced military technology. The station floated in space, lights blinking in the darkness. When Voss's ships approached, they scanned for defenses. Nothing. The weapon systems were offline. The shields were down. It looked completely defenseless. Too easy, Voss muttered. But greed was stronger than caution. He ordered his troops to board the station. Meanwhile, the Pelthian Trade Consortium had found something different. They discovered an asteroid belt that humans had been mining. The asteroids were rich in rare metals, valuable metals, metals worth billions of credits. The mining equipment was still there, still working, harvesting minerals that nobody was collecting. The Pelthians set up their own operation. They told themselves they were just collecting what would otherwise go to waste. The humans weren't coming back, so why let all those resources sit there unused? Smaller species did similar things. The Draxians moved into an abandoned human colony on a beautiful green planet. The buildings were ready. The farms were growing food. The water systems worked perfectly. It was like moving into a home where the previous owners had just stepped out for a moment. At first, everything seemed fine. Better than fine. The humans had built amazing things. Their technology worked better than anything the galaxy had. Their medical stations could cure diseases that other species thought impossible. Their terraforming systems could turn dead planets into gardens. Their computer networks were faster and smarter than any AI the other races had developed. Kresh continued her investigation. She traveled from one human facility to another, studying everything. And the more she learned, the more worried she became. In a human library on the colony world of Newterra, she found something that made her hands shake. It was a database, a hidden database that required special access codes to open, but Kresh was good at solving puzzles. She cracked the code. Inside, she found research files, projects with strange names like Ascension Protocol and Threshold Event and Beyond the Veil. As she read, her large eyes grew even larger. The humans had been working on something big, something that scared her. They called it the Threshold. It was about evolution, about moving beyond physical bodies, about becoming something more than flesh and blood. The files talked about consciousness, about uploading minds into computers, about existing as pure thought, free from the limits of biology. The humans had been preparing for this for decades, maybe centuries, and 6 months ago they had succeeded. They had crossed the threshold. Every human had transformed at the same moment, leaving their physical bodies behind and becoming something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. Kresh sat back, her mind racing. The humans hadn't died. They hadn't even really left. They had just changed form. They were still here in a way, watching through their machines, existing in a state that other species couldn't even imagine, but one file caught her attention more than the others. It was marked Priority Alpha. When she opened it, she found a message from someone named Dr. Sarah Chen, one of the lead scientists on the Threshold project. The message was short, but important. It said humanity had a choice. They could stay in the physical galaxy and continue to advance. Within a few more centuries, they would be so powerful that no other species could compete. They would dominate everything, not because they wanted to, but simply because they were too far ahead. The gap was too large. Other species would always be playing catch-up, always be weaker, always be less. Or they could leave. Cross the threshold. Give the galaxy to the other species. Let everyone else have a chance to grow without living in humanity's shadow. Humanity had chosen to leave, but they had left gifts. Terraformed worlds ready for settlement, medical technology to cure diseases, clean energy systems, advanced computers, beautiful cities. They had prepared everything for the species they were leaving behind. Kresh felt tears in her eyes. The humans had given up their place in the physical galaxy so that others could thrive. It was an act of love, of trust. But then she found the next file, and her tears dried as cold fear took over. The gifts came with protection, safeguards. The humans had left behind automated defense systems, not just simple guards, but intelligent systems that could think and learn and react. These systems had one job: to protect human technology from misuse, and every single human facility had a countdown timer. Kresh quickly accessed the station's main computer. There it was, displayed on the screen. A timer counting down. 2 years. No, not quite 2 years anymore. 1 year, 9 months, and 12 days. She checked other human facilities remotely. Every single one had the same countdown. All synchronized. All reaching zero at exactly the same moment. But what would happen when the timers reached zero? The files didn't say. That information was locked behind security she couldn't break. Meanwhile, on Research Facility 7, General Voss had found the weapons vault. His soldiers worked to open the massive door. It took them 3 hours, but finally the locks clicked open. Inside, they found wonders. Weapons beyond anything they had imagined. Energy rifles that could punch through any armor. Shields that could stop any attack. Bombs that could destroy entire fleets. And in the center of it all, a strange device. It was small, no bigger than a backpack, but it hummed with power. What is this? Voss asked his chief scientist. I don't know, General. But the power readings are incredible. This could be a weapon, or a power source, or something else entirely. Can we take it? Yes, but I recommend we study it here first. We don't know what it does. Voss thought about that. He thought about the warning. Don't touch our things. But the humans were gone, and this technology could make the Krell hegemony the most powerful force in the galaxy. Activate it, he ordered. Let's see what the humans left behind. The scientist connected a power cable. He pressed a button. The device began to glow, brighter and brighter, and then it exploded. Not with fire or force, but with something else. A silver cloud poured out of the device, spreading through the vault like smoke. But it wasn't smoke. It was made of tiny machines. Millions of them. Billions of them. Each one smaller than a grain of sand. Nanomachines. The Krell soldiers tried to run, but the cloud was faster. It swept over them, coating their skin, getting into their lungs. They screamed, and then they started to change. All across the galaxy, in every human facility, AI systems activated at the same moment. Screens lit up. Speakers crackled to life. And then, in 50 different languages, the same message played. A calm, neutral voice said, "First warning, you were told not to touch." And the galaxy realized that the humans weren't just watching, they were still protecting what they had left behind. The nanomachines worked for exactly 24 hours. During that time, they did something nobody expected. They changed the Krell soldiers, but not in the way anyone feared. The Krell were a proud species. Centuries ago, they had modified their own genetics to make themselves stronger, bigger, more aggressive. They had turned themselves into perfect warriors. It was their greatest achievement. The nanomachines undid all of that. They removed every genetic modification. They returned the Krell to what they had been before: smaller, weaker, gentler. When the 24 hours ended, General Voss and his soldiers were changed forever. They weren't hurt. The nanomachines made sure of that. They were healthy, perfectly healthy, but they were humiliated. Their pride was broken. And then the silver cloud simply dissolved into nothing, leaving no trace it had ever existed. The message played again in every human facility across the galaxy. First warning. You were told not to touch. First warning. That meant there would be a second, and a third. The humans were being gentle, showing restraint. But the warning was clear. Stop now or face something worse. The Galactic Council met an emergency session. This time, the mood was very different. Fear had replaced greed. Nobody was talking about claiming human territory anymore. Kresh stood before them and explained what she had learned. About the threshold. About humanity's choice to leave the physical galaxy. About the gifts they had left behind. About the countdown timers in every facility. The humans achieved something incredible, she said. They evolved beyond biological bodies. They became pure consciousness. Pure thought. They could have stayed and ruled over all of us. But they chose to leave instead. They gave us this galaxy, but they also left protection for what they built. Ambassador Krell listened carefully. He was old enough to remember when humans first joined the galaxy. He had watched them grow from a curious new species into the most powerful civilization anyone had ever seen. And now he understood why they had left. They left because they knew they would dominate us, he said quietly. Not through war, not through conquest, just by being too far ahead. They would have helped us, protected us, guided us, but we would always be the weaker ones. The lesser ones. Living in their shadow, yes, Kresh agreed. So they left. But they still care about us. That's why they left the safeguards. They don't want us to destroy ourselves with technology we're not ready for. They don't want us to use their gifts as weapons against each other. The Pelthian delegate raised a trembling hand. What about the countdown? What happens when it reaches 0? I don't know, Kresh admitted. But I think it's a deadline. The humans are giving us time. Time to prove ourselves. Time to show we can be trusted with what they left behind. And if we fail? Someone asked. Kresh looked around the room. I think if we fail, the humans will take back their gifts. All of them. Every piece of technology. Every terraformed world. Every medical station. They'll make sure we can't use what we're not ready for. The room fell silent. Everyone was thinking the same thing. The galaxy had become dependent on human technology. Their medical systems saved millions of lives. Their clean energy powered whole civilizations. Their terraforming made dead worlds habitable. Losing all of that would be a disaster. But it was more than just technology. The humans had left behind cities, farms, factories, schools. They had built an infrastructure that the galaxy was already using, already depending on. Taking it all away would hurt everyone. The council passed new laws. Strict laws. No more expeditions into human space without permission. No taking of human technology. Anyone who violated these laws would face severe punishment. The galaxy had to prove it could be trusted. But laws were just words. And words couldn't stop everyone. 18 months passed. The countdown continued, tick by tick, day by day. Most species followed the new laws. They stayed away from human military facilities. They used the gifts carefully and with respect. The Draxians who had settled on the human colony world reported something beautiful. The human systems seemed to adapt to them. The environmental controls adjusted to their preferred temperature. The food synthesis machines learned to make dishes from their homeworld. The medical stations studied their biology and developed new treatments for Draxian diseases. It was like the human technology wanted to help, wanted to take care of the new inhabitants. The machines showed no hostility, only kindness. As long as nobody tried to weaponize them or use them for harm, they functioned perfectly. Kresh spent those months studying everything she could. She traveled to dozens of human facilities, reading databases, examining systems, learning, and slowly she began to understand the depth of what humans had done. They hadn't just left behind technology. They had left behind a test of character. Could the other species of the galaxy use these gifts wisely? Could they resist the temptation to use them for war and conquest? Could they work together instead of fighting over the spoils? The humans were watching to see what kind of galaxy they had left behind. Would it be a galaxy of cooperation and growth, or would it fall into chaos and war? Kresh discovered something else too. Hidden messages in the human databases. Messages of hope and encouragement. One said, "We believe in you." Another said, "You are ready for this." A third said, "The galaxy is yours now. Make it beautiful." The humans trusted them. Despite all the fear and suspicion that had existed between species, despite the wars and conflicts, the humans believed that the galaxy could grow into something wonderful. That trust made Kresh more determined. She started giving lectures, sharing what she had learned. Slowly, attitudes began to change. Species that had been suspicious of each other started talking, trading, cooperating. The absence of humanity created a space where others could step up. It was working. The galaxy was healing, growing, learning. But not everyone wanted peace. Far beyond the galactic rim, in the darkness between galaxies, an empire watched. The Zefkor Empire. They were ancient, powerful, cruel. They had been observing this galaxy for thousands of years, waiting for the right moment to invade. The humans had stopped them. As long as humanity existed, the Zefkor knew they couldn't win. Human technology was too advanced. Human military strategy was too clever. Human determination was too strong. But now the humans were gone. And the Zefkor saw their chance. Their massive fleet began to move. Thousands of ships, millions of soldiers. They had one target: human space. If they could capture human technology, they would be unstoppable. They would conquer the entire galaxy. The countdown had 6 months left. 6 months until whatever the humans had planned would happen. The Zefkor had to move fast. They burst into the galaxy like a storm. Their arrival was detected immediately. The Galactic Council scrambled to respond. But it was too late. The Zefkor were already here, and they were moving straight toward the heart of human territory. Kresh was on Nexus Prime when the news arrived. She stood with Krell, watching the invasion fleet on the tactical display. It was massive, bigger than anything the Council could field, bigger than anything they had ever seen. "We can't stop them," Krell said quietly. "Not with our current forces. They'll tear through our defenses and reach human space within weeks." Kresh felt her heart's pounding. She looked at the countdown timer displayed on her datapad. 5 months and 23 days, the humans, she said. Their defense systems. Their weapons. We need them. But the warning, someone objected. "First warning. There will be a second, a third. We can't use their technology for war." "This isn't about conquest," Kresh replied. "This is about survival. The Zefkor want to destroy us. Take everything. The humans left those defenses for a reason. Maybe this is the reason. Maybe this is the test." She looked at Krell, at the council members, at all the frightened faces around her. "The humans trusted us with their legacy," she said. "Now we have to trust them. We have to believe they knew something like this might happen. We have to believe they left us a way to defend ourselves." The galaxy held its breath once more, but this time, it wasn't fear of the humans that silenced everyone. It was the hope that humanity had left them something to fight with. The Zefkor moved through the galaxy like a disease. Their ships were dark and massive, built for one purpose: destruction. They had no interest in diplomacy, no interest in peace. They wanted only to conquer, to dominate, to rule. The first species they encountered were the Pelthians. The peaceful traders had 3 colony worlds in the outer rim. The Zefkor destroyed them all in a single day. No warning, no mercy. Just overwhelming force. News of the attack spread quickly. The Galactic Council tried to organize a defense, but it was chaos. Different species had different ideas, different strategies. They couldn't agree on anything. And while they argued, the HFY kept advancing. Within 2 weeks, they had taken 20 systems. Within a month, 50. They were moving straight toward human space, and nothing could stop them. Kresh gathered a small group of allies, species who believed her theory that the humans had left defenses they could use. Together, they fled toward a human facility called Haven. It was a massive command station orbiting a gas giant deep in human territory. According to the records Kresh had found, Haven was a military coordination center. If there was any way to access human defense systems, it would be there. The station was enormous. It had been built to coordinate fleets across hundreds of systems. Now it floated silent and empty, its lights still burning, its computers still running, waiting for commanders who would never return. When Kresh's ship docked, she felt a strange sensation, like the station was aware of her presence, like it was watching. She shook off the feeling and led her team inside. The corridors were clean and well lit. Their footsteps echoed in the emptiness. Everything still worked perfectly. The air was fresh. The gravity was stable. It was like the humans had just stepped out for a moment and would be back any second. They found the command center. It was a large circular room filled with displays and control panels. At the center was a holographic projector. As soon as Kresh stepped onto the platform, it activated. A figure appeared. It looked human. A woman in a military uniform. But Kresh knew it wasn't real. It was a recording. A message left behind. The hologram spoke in a warm, steady voice. "If you're seeing this, you're facing something you cannot defeat alone. We hoped you wouldn't need this. We hoped the galaxy would remain at peace. But we're realists. We knew there was a chance that someone would come. Someone from outside. Someone who wanted to take what we left behind." The hologram paused, as if thinking, then continued. "We left you tools, defenses, weapons if you need them. But they come with a condition. They require authorization from multiple species. Not just one. Not just two, many. You must work together to activate them. This is not because we don't trust you. It's because we trust you too much. We trust that when the moment comes, you will unite. You will cooperate. You will prove that our faith in you was justified." Kresh felt tears on her face. The humans had thought of everything. Even in leaving, even in transcending, they had protected the species they left behind. The hologram gestured to the control panels around the room. Each station requires biological authorization, a genetic scan from a different species. You'll need at least 12 species represented to activate the defense network. We chose 12 because it forces cooperation. It forces trust. And it ensures that no single species can use our technology for conquest. Kresh looked at her team. She had brought representatives from 8 species. Not enough. They needed more. The hologram seemed to sense her concern. "We know this won't be easy. That's the point. Easy answers lead to easy corruption. But we believe in you. We always have. The galaxy is yours now. Fight for it, together." The hologram faded. The command center fell silent. Kresh stood there thinking. They needed more species. More representatives. But the HFY were getting closer every day. Time was running out. Ambassador Krell, who had joined the expedition, spoke up. "We send messages. To everyone. To all species, even ones we don't trust. We tell them what we found. We ask them to come. To unite. Some will refuse," a Draxian representative said. "Some will think it's a trick. Then we fail," Kresh said simply. The humans knew that might happen. They gave us a choice, unite or fall. There is no other way. They sent the messages. And then they waited. Days passed. The HFY came closer. More systems fell. More species died or fled. The galaxy was burning and the fire was spreading fast. Some species responded. A Korthian general arrived, his pride swallowed by necessity. A Pelthian survivor came, her people nearly destroyed. Others followed. Species that had been enemies for generations stood together in that human command center, united by desperation. But they only had 11 species. They needed 12. The countdown on Haven's main display showed the time clearly. 3 weeks until it reached 0. 3 weeks until whatever the humans had planned would happen. But the HFY would be here in days, not weeks, days. Kresh stood at a window looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Zephyr fleet was coming. Somewhere out there, the humans existed in their new form, watching. She wondered if they were disappointed. If they were sad that the galaxy couldn't unite even when facing destruction. Then, sensors detected a new ship. Small, old, moving, slowly toward Haven. It was from a species Kresh barely recognized. The Anthari. They were an ancient race, very few in number, mostly forgotten by the galaxy. They kept to themselves, never getting involved in galactic politics. When the Anthari representative came aboard, Kresh saw she was very old. Her scales were pale with age. Her movements were slow, but her eyes were bright and clear. "I am Elder Synth," the Anthari said in a voice like dry leaves. "The humans once helped my people. Long ago, when we were dying. They gave us medicine, technology, hope. They asked for nothing in return. When I heard this message, I knew I had to come. I am old, I am weak. But I will give what I can give. 12 species. They finally had 12 species. They gathered around the control panels. One by one, each representative placed their hand on a scanner. The machines analyzed their genetics, confirmed their species, registered their authorization. When Elder Synth placed her hand on the final scanner, the entire station hummed with power. Lights that had been dim grew bright. Systems that had been dormant came online. The holographic projector activated again. This time it showed something different, a map, a tactical display showing the entire galaxy. And scattered throughout human space, thousands of red dots appeared. Each one was a defensive installation. Each one was now active, a new voice spoke. Not recorded this time. This was an AI, a living, thinking artificial intelligence. Authorization confirmed. Defense Network Omega is now active. All systems responding. Welcome, Coalition of the Willing. The humans left me with a message for this moment. They want you to know they are proud of you. You have shown exactly what they hoped you would show. Unity, courage, trust. Now let us defend your galaxy together. Outside Haven, in the darkness of space, human defense platforms powered up. Ships that had been hidden in asteroid fields and nebulae came online. Weapons that had been sleeping for months opened their eyes. The Zephyr were still days away. But now the galaxy was ready. Not with one species' power, not with human technology alone, but with all of them together, united by necessity and held together by trust. The countdown continued. 2 weeks and 6 days until 0, but now nobody was afraid of what would happen when it reached that moment, because they had already passed the test. The Zephyr arrived expecting an easy conquest. They had watched the galaxy for years. They knew the different species fought among themselves. They knew the defenses were scattered and weak. They knew that without the humans, nobody could stand against them. They were wrong. The Zephyr fleet emerged from hyperspace near a former human mining colony. Their sensors immediately detected the defensive platforms. Hundreds of them, all active, all armed, all waiting. The Zephyr commander was not concerned. They had overwhelming numbers. They would destroy these platforms and move on. But then the platforms opened fire, not with simple lasers or missiles, with weapons that bent space itself, with beams that could slice through shields like they didn't exist, with devices that reached out and simply turned off Zephyr engines, leaving their ships floating helpless in space. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it was over, the Zephyr fleet was disabled. Not destroyed. The human defense systems had been programmed to minimize casualties. Every Zephyr ship was intact. Their crews were alive, placed in suspended animation by nanomachines that moved through their vessels like ghosts. The same thing happened at every point where the Zephyr tried to enter human space. Their ships were stopped, disabled, captured. Within 3 days, their entire invasion force was neutralized. Not a single galactic citizen died. Not a single Zephyr was killed. The human systems were precise, surgical, perfect. On Haven, Kresh and the Coalition watched in awe. They had known human technology was advanced, but this was beyond anything they had imagined. These weren't just weapons. These were instruments of peace. They stopped violence without creating more violence. As the last Zephyr ship was secured, something changed. All across the galaxy, in every human facility, the countdown timers stopped. Not at 0. They stopped with 7 days remaining. And new displays activated. The holographic projector in Haven's command center came to life. This time it showed something different. a figure made of light. It was hard to look at directly. It shifted and changed like looking at something through water. When it spoke, the voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. We are humanity, or what humanity has become. We exist now in dimensions you cannot perceive, in states you cannot imagine. But we have never stopped watching, never stopped caring about the species we left behind. Kresh stepped forward, her voice shaking. The countdown. What was it for? The figure seemed to smile, though it had no face. It was a deadline, a moment of decision. We needed to know what kind of galaxy we had left behind. Would you fight over our legacy? Would you use our technology for war and conquest? Or would you prove worthy of our trust? The figure gestured and images appeared in the air. Images of the past months. The Council passing laws to protect human space. Species cooperating and trading. The coalition forming. 12 species working together despite old hatreds and fears. You passed the test, the voice said. Not perfectly. Some tried to take what was not theirs. Some acted out of greed. But when it mattered most, when facing true evil, you united. You cooperated. You proved that our faith in you was justified. Ambassador Krell spoke up. What would have happened if we failed? If the countdown reached 0, and we were still fighting among ourselves? The figure's light dimmed slightly as if sad. We would have taken it all back. Every piece of technology. Every terraformed world. Every gift we left. We would have removed everything that could be used for war. Returned you to what you were before we arrived. It would not have been punishment. Just protection. Protection from yourselves. The room fell silent. Everyone understood. The humans had loved them enough to give them everything, but also loved them enough to take it away if they weren't ready. But you are ready. The voice continued, growing brighter. You proved it. You faced an enemy you couldn't defeat alone, and instead of giving up, instead of surrendering, you united. You trusted each other. You trusted us. And that changes everything. The displays changed again. This time they showed documents. Transfer agreements. Authorization codes. Access privileges. Everything we left behind is now officially yours. All human territory. All technology. All knowledge. We transfer it freely to the Galactic Council, to be administered for the benefit of all species. The AI systems will remain as advisors if you want them, but they will follow your orders now. They answer to you. Kresh felt tears streaming down her face. The humans were giving them everything. The entire legacy of the most advanced civilization the galaxy had ever known. All of it freely given with no conditions except that they use it wisely. Why? She asked. Why do all this? Why care so much about us? The figure of light moved closer. When it spoke, the voice was warm, full of love. Because you are our family. Not by blood, not by biology, but by choice. We chose to share the galaxy with you. We chose to be your friends, your allies, your neighbors. And when we evolved beyond the physical realm, we chose to trust you with our legacy. Family doesn't abandon each other. Even when we leave, we never really leave. We will always be watching, always caring, always here if you truly need us. The room was full of people crying now. Not from sadness, from joy, from understanding. The humans had never really left. They had just changed form. And in that new form, they could do something they never could as physical beings. They could watch over the entire galaxy at once. They could protect everyone, guide everyone, love everyone. What about the Zeph Corps? The Korthian general asked. What should we do with them? That is your decision, the voice replied. They came to conquer, to destroy, but they are also living beings, capable of change, capable of growth. We would suggest showing them mercy. Teach them what you have learned. Show them that there is a better way. But the choice is yours. This is your galaxy now. The coalition spent hours debating. In the end, they decided to offer the Zeph Corps a choice. Return to their home galaxy and never return. Or stay, learn, become part of the galactic community. Most chose to leave, but some stayed. Curious, wanting to understand what they had seen. The figure of light began to fade. We must go now, it said. We exist in many places at once, and there is much to do in dimensions you cannot see. But know this. You are never alone. When you look at the stars, remember that we are there, not in the physical space between worlds, but in the very fabric of reality itself. We are the light in the darkness, the hope in despair, the voice that whispers you can do this when everything seems impossible. Will we ever see you again? Kresh asked. Perhaps. When you are ready. when you have grown and evolved, when you too stand at the threshold and decide what you want to become. Until then, live well, love deeply, take care of each other, and remember humanity departed, but humanity never left. We are always with you, always. The light faded completely. The command center was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. Outside, the stars shone bright and beautiful. The galaxy breathed again, a long, deep breath of relief and hope and possibility. Kresh stood at the window looking out at space. She thought about everything that had happened. The fear when humans first vanished, the temptation to take what they left behind, the terror of the Zefkor invasion, and finally the triumph of unity. The humans had tested them, but more than that, they had trusted them. They had believed that the species of the galaxy could grow, could change, could become worthy of the legacy they were given, and they had proven that trust was not misplaced. Years passed. The galaxy flourished. The species that had once been suspicious of each other became true allies. They used human technology wisely. They settled human worlds carefully. They learned from human knowledge gratefully. New species joined the community. Species that had been afraid before. Species that had hidden in the shadows. Now they came forward, welcomed by the coalition, given the same chances and opportunities that everyone else had. Kresh became a leader. Not through force or political maneuvering, but through respect. She had been the first to understand what the humans had done. The first to trust them, the first to see the test for what it was, and now she helped guide the galaxy into its new age. On the anniversary of humanity's departure, the galaxy held a celebration. Every species sent representatives. They gathered at Nexus Prime, the same place where they had first learned the humans were gone. Kresh gave a speech. She talked about fear and hope, about temptation and wisdom, about the importance of unity. And she talked about humanity, about their sacrifice, about their trust, about their eternal presence. They gave us everything, she said, not just technology and worlds. They gave us a chance to prove we were worthy, a chance to become something better. And they gave us the greatest gift of all. They gave us faith. Faith that we could succeed, faith that we could unite, faith that we were ready. She paused, looking up at the ceiling, through it to the stars beyond. Humanity departed, and the galaxy held its breath. We didn't know what would happen. We were afraid, uncertain, lost. But humanity knew something we didn't. They knew we would find our way. They knew we would rise to the challenge. They knew we would become the family they always believed we could be. Now we breathe freely. Now we live without fear. Now we face the future together. And we know that somewhere, somehow, humanity is watching, proud of us,